Introducing our summer reading series. Are you ready? I hope you've had a good week. July has gone by in a flash. In my head, I spent the entire first 7 months of the year looking forward to the sultry days of August, long summer days spent frolicking in the English countryside. In reality, it has never ever in my entire life worked out that way, but it doesn't stop me dreaming. Anyway, back to today. In my last email, I promised a summer of informative reading for you. Basically, I'm going to share some of the really interesting things I've found out through falling down innumerable rabbit holes over the course of the year. I do love the fact that knowledge is just at our fingertips in a way that it never has been before. I want to keep the emails quite short and sweet, which is really difficult when it comes to condensing a huge amount of information into a couple of sentences, but I will try my best. Basically, I'm going to answer 3 questions in each of the upcoming emails. 1. What was I looking for when I fell down this particular rabbit hole? 2. What important fact or facts have I chosen to share with you? And 3. Why is it helpful and how can I apply it to my or our own practice? So let's launch straight in with this week's topic, the importance of rhythmic awareness in children's development. In each of the Musicbuds song resource packs, I provide a video sheet music guide that outlines the song's structure and highlights the key elements of the song. This visual guide represents the musical landscape of the song. Our songs are designed to be simple and repetitive, featuring repeated words, rhythms, pitches, phrases, and actions. In each guide video, I focus on a specific aspect of a song, such as rhythm or repetition or phrasing or structure, etc., discussing its developmental importance and its relevance to that particular song. For instance, while spotlighting rhythmic repetition in our song, The Colours of Me, I was preparing to explain the significance of rhythm across children's development and learning. As educators, it's a given that rhythm enhances children's social, cognitive, intellectual, independent and physical development. But do we really understand why this is? I thought I needed to do a bit more research into this subject. So with a slightly heavy heart, because I knew where this was leading, I turned my attention to the world's biggest rabbit hole, Google search, and pressed my finger on its doorbell. And that leads to number 3. What did I find out? Well, I found out so much interesting information about rhythm and neuroscience. Before I go into that, here's a little experiment for you to do, taken from Nina Kraus's research and treasure trove of a book of Sound Mind, How the Brain Constructs a Meaningful Sonic World. Think of the American saying, a shave and a haircut, 2 cents. As you say it in your head, tap it out using a finger. A shave and a haircut, 2 cents. It's very likely you'll make 7 or 8 taps. Now imagine it again, but tap your foot to it. A shave and a haircut, 2 cents. It's likely your foot will only tap 4 times. That's because the brain processes rhythm simultaneously through the lens of a shorter and longer time frame. Your finger would have been paying attention to the phonemes and lengths of the words, whereas your foot would have been reflecting the larger scale patterning, such as the emphasis, intonation and phrasing of the speech. So getting back to what the interesting facts from Nina's research findings are, and there's a short list here, that there's a link between beat keeping and language development in children as young as 3 years old. That children who recognise differences in rhythm patterns and can tap to a beat learn to read and spell more easily. That the better you are at navigating rhythms, and musicians are at the top of the list in this, the more you can capitalise on rhythmic patterns in speech. And that often young children who can't otherwise speak can form words and sentences when accompanied by a clear rhythm. And finally, that there are children on the autistic spectrum who won't engage in a verbal conversation, but will gladly carry on a rhythmic conversation with another person on drums. And this leads us on to the third point. How can I apply this knowledge to my own practice? For me, this research affirms to me that my attention to rhythmic detail when composing these songs has been exactly the right approach. It's also given me clarity and direction in the way that I can explain just how important rhythmical learning is to the developing child, and how emphasising the beat or the pulse of the music is also important, both on its own, but also in synchronicity with the rhythmic patterning. Furthermore, I can demonstrate in each and every Musicbuds song exactly how the rhythms and beat interact with each other to support the children's learning. I need to emphasise the importance of working on developing beat awareness and rhythmic awareness separately, and then combining them together in order to give the children the very best opportunity to develop both aspects in tandem. Just as an example, I could take some rhythmical fragments from the song and, together with the children, play with them in a variety of ways, using instruments or tapping, clapping, jumping, or even making robot movements. Not only would I be precisely developing the children's rhythmical skills by doing this, I'd also be contributing to their speech and language comprehension, their reading and writing abilities, their fine and gross motor skills, and their general well-being. I hope you found this an interesting and useful snippet from the research. If you want to dip a toe in the water of Nina Kraus's Sonic World, there's a very good article you could read, The Extraordinary Ways Rhythm Shapes Our Lives, and you can find a link to it beneath this video. And to finish with, a quote from her book. If I had a magic wand, I would make rhythm an indisputable part of language therapies through music and rhythm-based instruction. Here's to keeping those rhythms and beats going all week. Very many thanks for watching, and see you again soon.